Good evening. My name is Jason Doherty. I'm a senior with Columbia Southern University Online. I'd like to take a moment to talk to you, a small business owner, about fire prevention and code enforcement. It's very easy to get complacent and believe that today's modern building practices and types of materials used in construction make any chance of a catastrophic fire in your small business a low probability. And in most cases, you would probably be right. However, in recent years, instances such as the World Trade Center burning down in New York City or the recent fires all throughout the state of California, as long as numerous other examples, too numerous to really count, have shown us how important fire code enforcement is. You can never be too cautious when it comes to doing everything that you possibly can to prevent fires in your businesses and being aware of what fire codes affect you, especially where I live in the state of Florida. Most of us know that in order to prevent a fire, you take away the fuel source or the source of heat and take simple steps to prevent fires in your home or business. However, in this particular video, we will discuss how fire codes are used to prevent fires, how they are enforced in this part of Florida, how those codes are applied to new and existing occupancies. We're also going to identify local organizations that determine the fire resistance of building materials, identify the types of tests used to determine fire ratings of certain building components and materials in the area, and hopefully describe how fire tests and fire ratings of certain building components and code enforcement happens in the state of Florida. Hopefully, by the end of this video, you will have a better understanding of and become more familiar with fire codes and the ways that we can take to protect ourselves and the businesses that you have poured so much of your heart, your finances, and your time into, and perhaps learn a thing or two along with me about fire prevention codes. Going back to 1947, the original National Conference of Fire Prevention was held and generated many fire prevention principles that are still in use and in place today. One of these principles is the principle of the 3 E's. Those 3 E's are education, enforcement, and engineering. Education. The education portion of the 3 E's holds that teaching people how to prevent fires and what to do in the event of a fire is paramount. Most people tend to freak out and are unsure of what to do in the case of a fire and what to do in that particular situation. Sometimes they end up inhaling smoke or something worse happens because they're unaware of what you should do. For the enforcement portion, it is absolutely a priority when building an office building or a restaurant, high-rise, or strip mall that fire codes are enforced all throughout the building process. These buildings should be checked by a trained fire inspector during the construction phase and prior to the building being opened. Finally, engineering. Engineering means that the construction of buildings should include designs that incorporate a plan to be safe from fire, fire suppression systems, and require that materials be flame-proof, fireproof, or resistant to fires. Ultimately, the goal of the 3E system is to prevent fire, prevent great loss from a fire. Here in the state of Florida, the Florida Fire Prevention Code is adopted by the state fire marshal at 3-year intervals, as required by state statutes, and enforced by local fire officials within each county, municipality, and special fire districts located throughout the state. Here in West Palm Beach, where I live, it is the duty of the Bureau of Fire to periodically inspect or require the inspection of all premises in the city of West Palm Beach. These inspections may be prompted by permit, occupational license application, complaints, or routine required scheduled inspections. But it is everyone's responsibility to comply with those orders and the findings of the Bureau in order to maintain a community that is safe from fire. The Florida Building Code, Section 301, classifies structures or portions of structures in respect to occupancy by separating them into 10 groups, broken down by what the use of the structure is, and then again by how many people it can hold. These 10 groups are assembly, business, educational, factory and industrial, high hazard, institutional, mercantile, residential, storage, and utility and miscellaneous. Depending on how big these structures are and what they are used for, determines the occupancy load of how many people are allowed to be in the building at any one time. Those groups are further broken down into A1 through A5 for assembly, H1 through H5 for high hazard, so on and so forth, and further determines how many people can be in occupancy at one time inside of a structure. Most municipalities and counties in the state of Florida utilize the fire resistance test method as put forth by the ASTM E119, ASTM being the American Society for Testing and Materials, or they utilize the standard test method for fire test from the National Fire Protection Association, NFPA, or Underwriters Laboratories, UL 263. They must meet the strict requirements of the Florida Building Code 701 and meet the fire resistance rating required by the building officials. Fire tested materials or assemblies of materials must resist the passage of heat and hot gases, maintain structural integrity during a test fire, and have something left standing at the end of the test. The testing methods approved in the state of Florida include those criteria from the ASTM E119, and the test fire takes a specimen of the material, holds it to a standard fire controlled to achieve specific temperatures over a predetermined amount of time, followed by dousing with a high pressure hose. This gives us a basic go-by of how the material will hold up to the fire and then fire suppression methods. Different variants give us different results and a good cluster of data to how well the materials will hold up to fire. This has been a basic video allowing for the discussion of and understanding of fire codes in the state of Florida. All of these methods and codes come together to give businesses a comprehensive fire testing, fire rating plan, and helps to make Florida safer from fires. Thank you for your time.